Imagine a desolate concrete slab, an eyesore hidden in plain sight at the heart of the city. Cracked pavement, trapped heat, and silence where life should be. Now picture that same forgotten corner transformed into a living, breathing jungle rising vertically toward the sky. Lush foliage replaces gray walls, shadows dance beneath a green canopy, and the air itself feels different. This is not a dream or a luxury project. This is an extreme urban garden makeover that proves neglected spaces can become powerful ecological oases. What you are about to see will completely redefine how cities can heal. Welcome to a place most people never notice. This neglected urban corner sits between buildings, surrounded by concrete, heat, and years of disregard. Once lifeless and harsh, it represents countless forgotten city spaces waiting for change. From concrete to canopy, this urban corner makeover begins with observation rather than destruction. The camera lingers on cracks, stains, and sharp angles, emphasizing the challenge ahead. This neglected urban space transformation is not about erasing the past, but reclaiming it. Light reflects off bare surfaces, revealing both the problem and the potential. Here, the extreme garden makeover begins quietly, with intention and respect for space. Every city corner tells a story, and this one speaks of neglect and resilience. Heat radiates from exposed concrete, water drains too quickly, and wind funnels unpredictably through tight corridors. Understanding these conditions is essential for any urban greening project. This scene focuses on studying shadows, airflow, and existing structures, turning limitations into design cues. Transforming concrete spaces requires listening before acting. The walls become future supports, the ground a foundation for renewal. This small urban garden renovation begins with mapping stress points and opportunities. What seems hostile slowly reveals itself as a canvas for thoughtful city corner landscape design. Transformation begins with imagination. Standing within the bare space, the vision of a vertical layered ecosystem takes shape. From concrete to canopy, the goal is to lift greenery upward, not outward. This urban oasis creation redefines scale, proving beauty does not require width. Sketches overlay reality, showing green walls, hanging planters, and climbing vines reaching sunlight. This is minimalist urban garden design guided by function and calm. The neglected urban space transformation becomes a promise of shade, movement, and life. The camera fades between present concrete and envisioned foliage, capturing the emotional shift from abandonment to hope. The blueprint emerges as a multi-layered system, each level serving a purpose. Ground-level planters anchor the space, mid-level shelves host edibles, and vertical frames support climbers and vines. This is sustainable urban landscaping designed for density, not excess. Every inch is intentional, turning limitations into advantages. This pocket park transformation focuses on biodiversity within constraint. Light filters differently at each height, creating microclimates within the same footprint. The design encourages insects, birds, and human paws. Through thoughtful structure, this creative urban garden idea becomes a living system, proving that urban nature restoration thrives through intelligent layering. This makeover proves beauty doesn't require expensive materials. Reclaimed wood, recycled metal grids, and repurposed containers shape the build with character and integrity. Worn textures blend industrial history with fresh growth, turning concrete into something alive. Discrete drip lines conserve water while quietly supporting every plant. The transformation becomes an act of reuse, not waste, showing sustainable design can come from creativity, not consumption. Water strategy makes the difference in dense cities. Drip irrigation delivers moisture straight to roots, cutting evaporation and runoff. Rainwater is guided and reused, turning storms into steady nourishment. The garden becomes resilient instead of dependent. Gentle dripping softens the street's noise, adding calm to the space. In this corner, water stops escaping the concrete jungle and starts feeding the canopy. Plant choices define the spirit of the space. Drought-tolerant edibles, native pollinator blooms, and air-purifying greens are selected to thrive under urban pressure. Each plant cools, shelters, and softens hard edges. Greenery climbs upward, creating shade and motion where there was none. Leaf textures and subtle color shifts bring depth. Even the smallest space can support life when chosen with intention. Construction begins with care and restraint. Vertical frames rise along walls, strong enough to carry weight without overwhelming the site. Bolts and brackets are placed precisely for safety and longevity. The build becomes tangible vision turning into structure. As shadows shift, the future canopy feels closer. This step bridges concept and reality, proving serenity starts with quiet, dependable engineering. The first plants arrive, and the transformation becomes real. Soil fills containers, roots settle, and green breaks sharply against concrete. Hands move gently, honoring how fragile new life is. Even before the garden is complete, the atmosphere changes: cooler air, softer light, a sense of pause. This moment shows that hope doesn't wait for perfection. It begins the instant life takes hold. As plants settle in, the corner starts to feel alive. Leaves sway, shadows ripple across walls, and the harsh echo of concrete fades. Calm appears without dramatic gestures. Sounds soften, temperature drops, and the visual rhythm turns organic. The space invites reflection, not rush. This project shows that reclaiming neglected places restores more than land, it restores connection, and proves cities can breathe again. With time, small changes reshape perception. Vines climb higher, leaves stretch outward, and the corner feels taller than it did before. Vertical layers soften rigid architecture, adding depth and movement. What once felt compressed now feels expanded. The camera glides through foliage levels, emphasizing new scale. This scene shows growth is psychological as much as physical, changing how people look up and how the city feels. Shape becomes the first clear reward. Overlapping leaves form a green canopy that filters harsh sun into gentle patterns. Temperatures drop, and the corner turns from uncomfortable to inviting. This is practical design as much as beauty and answer to urban heat. The camera lingers on light passing through leaves, calm and shifting. The scene proves comfort doesn't require size, only thoughtful placement and patient growth. Life responds quickly when conditions improve. Pollinators arrive first, drawn to native blooms and shelter. Then small birds appear, pausing briefly before exploring deeper. The space now supports ecosystems, not just aesthetics. The camera captures subtle movement: wings, trembling leaves, quiet visits. This scene proves microspaces can matter to biodiversity. Restoration doesn't require vast land, only an opening where nature can return. Among ornamental greens, edibles thrive quietly. Herbs, leafy greens, and compact fruiting plants fill shelves and containers, turning vertical space into nourishment. The garden challenges assumptions about what cities can grow. Hands harvest gently, reinforcing a direct connection between people and place. The camera lingers on color and texture abundance within constraint. This scene shows forgotten corners can feed body and mind without losing beauty. Even as the garden becomes lush, it stays intentional. Each structure has a purpose. Each plant has space to breathe. Abundance emerges through order, not clutter. The camera moves slowly, reinforcing clarity and calm. This scene reframes minimalism as focus an environment that feels rich but never overwhelming. The garden invites pause and attention, proving simplicity can amplify impact, even in the most complex city setting. Sound changes as much as the visuals. Leaves rustle, water drips, and the city's harsh echoes soften into the background. The space begins to absorb noise and replace it with natural rhythm. The camera holds on quiet moments, small sounds that signal safety and calm. This scene proves restoration includes what is heard, not only what is seen. The corner becomes a sanctuary for the senses, healing invisibly through sound. People start noticing glances turn into pauses, and pauses become conversations. The garden shifts from private project to shared experience. Visitors take photos, ask questions, and linger respectfully. The camera captures human presence without breaking the calm. This scene shows green space builds connection as naturally as it grows leaves. The transformation becomes inspiration, inviting others to imagine what their own neglected corners could become. Care becomes a quiet ritual. Pruning, watering, and observing growth slow the mind and sharpen attention. The garden thrives through consistency, not intensity. The camera follows deliberate movements, hands working gently, eyes noticing small changes. Upkeep feels restorative rather than burdensome. This scene reminds viewers the transformation isn't a one-time event. It's a relationship. Long-term success comes from patient, steady care, practiced with presence. The results become measurable. The air feels cooler, surfaces hold less heat, and biodiversity increases. The camera contrasts early footage with present conditions, making progress undeniable. This scene shows small interventions can scale impact when repeated across a city. The garden becomes a model, not an exception. Sustainability begins where neglect once lived, proving environmental change can start anywhere, especially in the overlooked spaces people pass every day. This is no longer just a garden, it's a message. The camera pulls back to frame the space within its urban context, emphasizing how doable the change is. Low-cost materials and smart planning create a model others can adapt. The process becomes a blueprint, accessible, flexible, repeatable. This scene encourages viewers to reimagine their surroundings. The chapter ends by opening many others, showing every city corner holds potential to become a living refuge. Weeks turn into months, and time becomes a collaborator. Plants mature, roots strengthen, and the garden feels established rather than newly built. Uneven growth adds authenticity and charm. The camera highlights small imperfections that make the space feel real. This scene proves beauty deepens with time instead of fading. What began as an extreme makeover now feels inevitable, like the city always meant for this corner to breathe, and simply needed someone to begin. Seasons reshape the garden without changing its footprint. Leaves thicken, colors shift, and sunlight arrives at new angles. The space adapts instead of resisting, showing what sustainable design looks like in motion. The camera follows light, moving across foliage like a quiet clock. Even in a tight corner, nature expresses rhythm and continuity. This scene turns the garden into a living calendar, proof that resilience is built by choosing plants that thrive through change. The most powerful change is felt before it's seen. Heat once trapped by concrete now disperses under layers of green. Surfaces absorb less sunlight, and the air becomes noticeably cooler. The camera contrasts sunlit streets with the shaded garden, making the difference clear. This scene shows how greenery can counter urban heat islands, even on a micro scale. Small interventions become climate relief, quiet, practical, and deeply human. Light behaves differently now. Filtered through leaves, it creates moving patterns that soften walls and ground. Shadows become dynamic and soothing, turning the space into a slow visual experience. The camera lingers on silhouettes drifting across concrete. This scene shows calm isn't added, it's revealed through nature's motion. With minimalism guiding the layout, the corner becomes a place where time feels gentler, and stillness is built from light as much as plants. Every limitation becomes guidance. Shallow soil, restricted light, and tight access force smarter choices. Efficiency replaces excess, and clever solutions hide inside the design. The camera reveals these quiet innovations, small decisions with big payoff. This scene reframes the city as a creative framework rather than an obstacle. Constraints sharpen intention. The makeover proves that pressure can produce elegance, and that the most replicable ideas are born where resources are limited and imagination is required. Without signs or instruction, people begin to stop here. The garden invites rest through atmosphere alone. It functions as a reset inside the city's constant push. The camera observes visitors lingering silently, breathing, and looking up. This scene shows well-being doesn't require spectacle or size. Calm appears when design meets human need. The corner becomes a small refuge, proof that mental restoration can exist on ordinary routes, built into daily life instead of separated from it. The garden teaches without lecturing. People notice vertical planting, reused materials, and efficient irrigation simply by seeing them work. Curious hands trace structures and leaves, learning through touch and observation. The camera follows these quiet moments of discovery. This scene proves demonstration inspires action more than theory. The space becomes a gentle classroom, open, accessible, and non-verbal. By existing, it offers permission. Sustainable choices can be simple, beautiful, and worth repeating in other corners. Weather tests the system, and resilience answers. Heavy rain drains cleanly, dry days reveal efficient irrigation, and plants recover quickly. The camera documents shifts without drama, emphasizing stability. This scene shows durability doesn't require complexity, just balance and foresight. The garden was designed for fluctuation, not perfection. In a city where conditions change fast, the space endures calmly. Resilience becomes visible in what doesn't fail, and in how gently the system keeps going. What began as an experiment becomes a symbol of possibility. Images spread, conversations grow, and imitation starts elsewhere. The camera frames the garden against the surrounding city, highlighting contrast and harmony. This scene shows transformation is contagious when it's visible and achievable. The garden becomes an idea, not just a place. It proves change starts with intention, not scale. A single corner can become a statement, quietly telling the city that renewal is always within reach. As the garden matures, the focus shifts from building to stewardship. Pruning cycles, seasonal adjustments, and plant replacement plans ensure longevity. The camera lingers on gentle maintenance, emphasizing continuity. This scene shows the makeover is not a finished object, but an ongoing commitment. The space looks forward, not back. By planning for years instead of weeks, the project outlasts trends. Longevity becomes the final design choice, proof that reclaimed spaces can thrive long into the future. Over time, the garden subtly changes the street's tempo. Footsteps slow, voices soften, and attention shifts from screens to leaves. No one is instructed, behavior adjusts naturally. The camera watches passersby unconsciously match the space's calm. This scene shows design can reshape mood and movement. The garden becomes part of neighborhood life, not a destination. A small intervention recalibrates daily experience, proving even tight corners can soften density and quiet constant urban motion. The garden's strength comes from contrast. Lush leaves press against raw concrete, making both feel intentional. Moss, steel, stone, and vine create visual poetry through opposition. The camera lingers on hard and soft, sharing the same frame. This scene shows impact doesn't require perfection. City scars don't need hiding, nature can coexist with them. Authenticity becomes the aesthetic. By embracing what's already there, the space redefines beauty as balance, not polish. Though compact, the project influences far beyond its footprint. Photos travel, ideas spread, and similar transformations begin elsewhere. The camera cuts between this garden and distant corners still waiting for care. This scene shows scale is measured by effect, not acreage. The makeover becomes a prototype, encouraging replication rather than admiration. Small renovations can spark widespread change. The corner proves that when a solution is accessible, it multiplies, turning one pocket park into a city-wide mindset. This space is never truly finished. Plants grow, decline, and are replaced with intention. Pruning and regrowth become part of the design, not maintenance noise. The camera highlights these cycles, reinforcing continuity. This scene shows success comes from accepting change, not resisting it. The garden stays vibrant by evolving. In an artificial environment, it remains deeply natural because it's treated as a living system, not a static display. Beyond structure and foliage, the garden creates emotion: calm, curiosity, relief. The camera focuses on faces pausing, breathing, and watching leaves move. This scene argues that mental clarity is a valid design outcome. The space restores attention in a city that rarely slows down. It becomes a refuge without walls, offering psychological relief through atmosphere alone. The makeover proves environments can heal the mind as surely as they cool the air quietly, consistently, and without demand. What was ignored now earns quiet respect. The camera revisits early footage and contrasts emptiness with life, making the change undeniable. This scene shows neglect isn't permanent, it's a condition that can be reversed. The corner becomes symbolic, reflecting how overlooked places and communities can be revalued. Care transforms meaning. The makeover rewrites the story. What seemed useless becomes essential, and what was forgotten becomes something people protect. Here, sustainability isn't performative, it's functional. Reused materials, water efficiency, and smart plant choices work quietly in the background. The camera highlights simple systems doing their job without spectacle. This scene shows real environmental responsibility looks like consistency, not decoration. Sustainability becomes routine, embedded into daily operation. The makeover proves urban greening succeeds when it supports life without demanding attention. An invisible foundation holding the entire transformation together. The space reflects those who enter it. Calm invites calm, and care encourages respect. Visitors touch gently, move quietly, and treat the garden like something worth protecting. The camera observes these interactions as evidence of change. This scene shows environments shape behavior as much as behavior shapes environments. By creating a place that feels valuable, the city grows a culture of stewardship. The garden becomes a mirror of intention, revealing how design can cultivate accountability without rules. Every detail becomes transferable. Vertical layering, low-cost materials, and adaptive maintenance offer a clear template for future projects. The camera revisits key design elements, emphasizing simplicity over complexity. This scene shows knowledge grows when shared. The makeover invites viewers to imagine application, not just admiration. It equips others to reclaim neglected spaces with confidence. The garden becomes a reference point, proof that when lessons are visible, they travel and impact extends beyond a single location. As plants mature, the garden nears its fullest expression. Leaves interlock overhead, forming a complete canopy that feels protective and cohesive. The camera rises slowly, revealing depth and harmony. This scene holds the transformation still long enough to be felt. The corner remains raw in context, yet balanced in spirit. The makeover pauses here, not as an ending, but as a moment of arrival, allowing viewers to absorb what sustained care can create. At maturity, the garden doesn't feel separate from the city, it softens it. Green layers dissolve tension without removing structure. The camera glides through leaves brushing concrete walls, showing harmony instead of conflict. This scene proves density can be humane. The city doesn't need to fight nature to function. With intentional design, softness can coexist with strength. The makeover becomes evidence that urban life can hold both permanence and gentleness in the same frame. The city keeps moving, but this corner offers a pause inside that motion. Urgency is absorbed and calm is released. The camera watches people stand quietly, no rushing, no checking the time. This scene shows rest doesn't require escape. Stillness can be built into daily routes through thoughtful design. The garden becomes a breathing space between destinations, proving restoration can happen without leaving the city because calm can be integrated directly into everyday life. Progress is usually measured in speed and scale. This garden suggests another metric: comfort, biodiversity, and connection. The camera contrasts fast traffic with slow-growing leaves, reframing what advancement means. This scene shows meaningful change can be quiet, deliberate, and rooted. Urban renewal doesn't have to announce itself. When life improves subtly, it still counts. The makeover proves gentle progress can be profoundly impactful, especially when it makes the city easier to live in. This project proves no space is too small to matter. The camera frames the garden beside tall buildings, emphasizing its significance despite size. Microscale intervention leads to macro-scale thinking. This scene challenges the belief that only large parks have value. Creative solutions turn constraints into opportunity. The makeover shows attention, not acreage, defines importance. Even a neglected corner can become a symbol of care, reminding cities that every overlooked space is a chance to choose life. Beyond plants, the garden proposes a different urban philosophy designed for people. Shade, sound, touch, and comfort matter as much as form. The camera focuses on sensory experience rather than spectacle. This scene argues cities don't need to overwhelm to impress. With minimalist choices and sustainable systems, the space prioritizes well-being. The makeover becomes a quiet manifesto. Build environments that support attention and calm, and the city becomes more livable without needing to grow bigger. Even now, the story stays open. Seasons will shift, plants will change, and new caretakers may step in. The camera captures small signs of future evolution. This scene shows sustainability is continuity, not closure. Success isn't permanence, it's resilience. The garden remains alive because it allows adaptation. The makeover reminds viewers that thriving spaces evolve alongside communities. Instead of freezing time, the project welcomes it, trusting that change is part of what keeps the corner healthy. What viewers take from this place is permission. The message is simple: transformation is possible anywhere. The camera transitions to other neglected corners, hinting at future gardens waiting to happen. This scene turns inspiration into momentum. Admiration becomes action. Through accessible design and creative reuse, the project empowers people to imagine, then build. The makeover becomes a catalyst, proving change begins when someone stops seeing a space as hopeless and starts seeing it as a beginning. Cities carry scars from neglect and speed. This garden offers healing, not replacement. Green layers restore without erasing history. The old surfaces remain visible beneath new life. The camera highlights that honesty. This scene shows renewal can be compassionate. It improves what exists instead of discarding it. The makeover teaches that cities can repair themselves gently, creating healthier environments over time. Healing becomes a design method. Add life, reduce harm, and respect the past while building the future. Under the full canopy, the journey reaches its most emotional point. Leaves frame fragments of sky, creating a sense of shelter and arrival. The camera pauses to let presence speak. The corner feels complete yet still alive, still changing. This scene reminds viewers transformation is not only a visible result, it's a felt experience. What once was forgotten now offers meaning. The garden becomes proof that care can turn emptiness into refuge. Thank you for standing beneath this canopy of possibility. This transformation shows neglected spaces aren't failures, they're opportunities waiting for care. The project isn't an ending, but a mindset. Cities can heal, small spaces can matter, and nature can return when invited thoughtfully. If this journey changed how you see your surroundings, carry that vision forward. Subscribe to keep exploring sustainable urban landscaping, creative renewal, and the quiet power of transforming our cities together.